Hi, it's Roger here with the February edition of the Q&A for our Genius Entrepreneur Mastermind, and I've just come back from Tao. So if you are wondering why this is a late video, it is because there is not a lot of Wi-Fi up at our resort, our safari resort. We are in the midst of upgrading, but that's why I am now a week late and I'm in Cape Town with all of your questions. So I'm going to jump right into it. Thank you for all the awesome questions, by the way. They're great. And I know quite a few of you I have just recently seen in the UK, or I'm going to see tomorrow at our Cape Town event that's coming up. And in just a few weeks, I'm going to be in New Zealand and in Sydney. So lots of people I'm connecting up with, which is awesome. Let's jump right into the questions because there's some really good ones this time around. There always is, but this time around we are going to go in infrared and upwards on the spectrum levels, and I'm going to start with a number of the cash flow questions. All right, so we have got here Tracy Carr. I'm going to actually read a few of them because they're all interrelated. Tracy Carr says, I'm in the middle of a huge deal and need to fully focus, but need to generate cash to keep going through negotiations. So how do I do this as a solopreneur? Joel Sutton, CloudSpa, very similar. My focus for February is to raise £350,000 in investment. I'm booked to present to several angel groups, and our deal will be going live on crowdfunding platform Syndicate Room in weeks. I can't pay myself a salary as we have a short cash runway, so we need to train a colleague to resurrect a second business to generate immediate cash flow. So you've kind of got more of a kind of thought as opposed to a question, but it's interrelated. There's more. I'm going to cover a couple more because they're all interrelated for the same thing. We have got here Julie, who asked two questions interrelated. What is the stages of monetizing informational knowledge in the quickest way? And related to that, when you have written a book available on Amazon, how do you monetize from that point, right? If you've got some product of some sort. I'm going to add, oh no, I'll leave the other one for a separate one. Those are all four interrelated to how do you create a cash promotion, basically. So three different types of promotion. Cash promotion, which is what's the quickest, fastest way to put cash in your pocket. A profit promotion, which is more green level, which is how do I actually do a promotion which is going to deliver revenues in a profitable way for my business, which may not always create cash in the short term. It might be something like an event in 3 months' time and it creates great profit, but you've got to kind of build towards it. Or a capital promotion, like building a property, right, which could actually take years, and then you actually have a much bigger return in capital, but you're not going to get cash out of it as well. So in the case of like Tracy and Joel, they're trying to create a cash promotion. In the case of someone like Judy, she's looking to say, well, how do I sell my book? And the answer is none of those things actually monetize easily. So what do? The most important thing is it doesn't matter which level you're at. If you do not have some Clark Kent time, like, you know, even Richard Branson knows where his cash flow is coming from. I will make sure that every month I know where my cash flow is coming from, and every year I know where my cash is coming from before I start focusing at how to build on the profit side or how to build on the capital side. So this is like, there is basically three different ways you can create cash, right? And these three different ways, based on whatever you're at and whatever you're sitting on, are three different ways that you can choose going from the top level down, which is the right path for you, right? You're going to have the blue level way, which I'm going to go through in a second. Then you're going to have fundamentally like the green, yellow level way. Then you're going to have the orange level way, right? So what's the blue level way? It's when you sell something, right? So you got something of capital. Could Joel or Tracy already do something where capital is involved? Maybe. They might have some actual assets they decide to sell and that creates cash. Not a great way because it means you're actually then converting that asset into cash. But for example, you might sell a mezzanine round of your investment, right? Someone like Joel could do that. We just did that with Genius U, where we said, hey, part of the development plan is to raise like another $400,000, which we could do by just like, you know, bringing a small number of people in at a lower rate than you're actually going to provide at the next rate up. We did the same thing we did at IPO. So we're actually selling shares in the actual business itself. We did it where we said with our cafe, hey, if you're willing to give a loan, we can actually pay that loan back from the profits we're going to make in the future. That loan give us cash in the short term. Fundamentally, it was secured against the future of the business. So you could effectively say that's because that's what capital is. It's just looking at the future value and saying, right, I'll sell some of that as well. So there's always that opportunity to do that. If you can have some people that trust you, who might already be your existing shareholders, who say, yeah, I'm happy to pay a bit more knowing I'm getting a really good deal on it. But that's a stretch if you're already having a stretch actually getting people to invest in the first place, right? But it's possible. Second way is outside of actually going out and just creating that cash through capital, is that you are developing some kind of a plan to deliver cash quickly, which serves a particular customer group that you've already got. So for example, someone like Joel could say, right, I'm going to go out there and take my database and go for my top 20% of the people that love me already and tell them that we've got the super special for 2018. You can buy $1,000 of vouchers at Cloud Spa for $500, right? And so people go, great, then I'm going to buy that. Or $100 for $50, right? Depending on how much money you want to raise. Tracy could do the same thing, where she could go to some of her best customers and say, we're going to offer you a super duper deal. You spent $10,000 with us last year. If you're willing to pay up front, then we're willing to give you that same $10,000 for $6,000 this year. Give you a 40% discount, right? So people go, well, I know I'm going to spend the money with you anyway, so I'd rather give you the cash in return for some profit and pay less for the program, and so that gives you cash straight away as well, right? So that's where you've got a base of people already. First one is basic capital. Second one is base of customers, right? Where they're already willing to work with you and they're willing to actually pay for something they're already getting from you at a special rate, which means you get the cash directly in the door, then you go out and deliver it, right? That's pretty much how cryptocurrencies work, right? Is that people are saying, get tokens that you can use in the future with our business, pay me the money up front, and then get it over time. Is how crowdfunding works, which is like, we've got this great product coming up, you love us already, pay for it up front, you get the cash, and then you deliver, right? So that's the second way to create cash very quickly. Then there's a third way. Third way, get a job. And seriously, I mean, like if you said, well, like how much cash do I really need to survive? Maybe I could do that by consulting with some friends who already know of me and know that I do a good job. And maybe I'll give 1 day a week where I'm just going and actually just selling my time, which is pretty much what a job is. You might actually have, someone that you already know who is doing their own promotion, where like you could help them in the marketing, or you could help them in the account side, or whatever is your specialty, where you say, look, I'm at the moment at a point where I've got this great project that's coming up. I'm actually looking to raise funding as I go as well. If you're happy, because I know I'm not going to be generating cash flow in the short term, and I'm not wanting to take money out of my business, but if you're happy to take like a day of my time or 2 days of my time, and I could give you that time, and in return for that, you give me some cash flow, so I'm delivering value to you. And I'd even give you options in some shares of my business for the future, right? Like sweeten it, make it great. But there's always, those are the 3 ways, right? There are no other ways other than rubber bank, and I do not recommend that. So that's the pathway. In the case of Julie, same thing. If you've got a product, it's not about how do you sell the product. It's about how do you really serve a customer, which may have nothing at all to do with that product. It may be something totally different. There's a great experiment that was done, and I wrote about it in one of my posts, which was from Stanford Business School, where the lecturer gave every single person who was a student there like $10 in an envelope and said, go away and come back at the end of the day, and whoever has the best return on this money wins, right? Everyone comes back, they have like a 5-minute presentation to say what they did, and then whoever's actually made the most money, they win. So what happened, right? Well, basically the people that went out with the money, trying to invest the money or make money for the money, realized it wasn't actually about the money. The ones who said, like, let's forget about the $10, what can we do with our real asset, which is our time? And some of them went and kind of like washed cars, some of them kind of went in and provided all sorts of different services for others, and those guys ended up making a lot more money by actually going out and doing that third step I said, which is go get a job, than they would have by trying to invest that money and turning the money into more money, right? So it's not about the money. Some people said, well, actually, it's not even about the fact that we have got, like our time that we can actually give. It's the fact that we can kind of figure out smarter ways that we can actually kind of like, bring people together with their products. There was one group who said, well, Chinese New Year, everyone wants oranges, so let's go buy lots of oranges and then actually sell them out there because it's Chinese New Year, and then we're actually going to be able to get like a 5 times return on our money. But the one who made the most money, they said the real value we've got is that when we come back in front of the students, we're going to have 5 minutes. So why don't we go and actually find some company that actually wants to get to the students, we'll get them to sponsor our 5 minutes, and then we'll basically give them a sponsorship pitch. And so they ended up making a huge amount more money. And I can't remember how much it was, but it was like $10,000, $20,000 that they actually managed to convince someone to pay them because of that time. So always be aware, you've got something of value, you've got something that someone somewhere wants, and if you're desperately in need of cash quickly, there's always a way to monetize it. You just got to be thinking, well, what is it that I really have a value, and who is it that would find that of value? And then go find those people. You've always got 24 hours of time, right? So that's the first place you should look. Okay, so let's move on from that. Oh, by the way, so the whole point with Julie is it's not about how do you sell your book. It's about how do you actually provide your book, even for free, because not a lot of people make money from books anymore, to someone who then basically can actually trust you because they have read the book, they love what you do, and then you can then provide a service to them as well. So whenever we go out with something, whether it's an e-guide, whether it's a free book, we'll always basically from that give them more information about what it is that we actually provide, and then from there either give them a special coaching session or a training session which allows them to see the value we can deliver, and then we deliver the value, right? So that's that's the pathway to it, more than how do I sell a lot of books, because you can do that and still make not a lot of money. All right, so we have Claire, which is still at the kind of like infrared to red level, which is like, how do I turn cash or time into cash? Where Claire asked, do you have a template for your daily schedule? I feel like I need to create a structured plan of my day to maximize time. So Claire, that has everything to do with which level of spectrum level you're at. Like if you're, like I remember when I was at like infrared level, the first thing was like my whole focus was just how do I make sure that I'm hitting my cash number, because I've got to make sure I'm out of infrared first, or else all my time daydreaming on the best idea, or the best connections I can make, it means nothing, because you're meeting up with people where still you have no credibility or confidence because there's no cash flow coming through. So you have to set that up first. It's like asking a footballer, like, how do you manage your time? Well, depends if you're World Cup level, depends if you're just learning how to play, right? So you have to make sure that your time is focusing at whatever is going to get you to the next level of the wealth spectrum. If you're at foundation level, it's first of all, infrared level, how do you get out of cash flow? If you're at infrared level, and then red to red, and then from red, how do you get to orange? It's like connect with your passions. It's always that first step, right? Which is like pinpoint your passion. It's like connect to those passions, which means being around other people you're passionate with. Otherwise, you'll be at red level your whole life, because you're just kind of doing the things to survive, and everyone else is as well, and there's no passion in it, right? So why would you have to work harder than you need to? You're just surviving. If you find your passions, then now you've got that extra cash flow coming in because you've got extra things you're doing not for the money. That's when the money really shows up. And then it's like, okay, I've got to invest my time and have a rhythm by which I'm connecting to others who are in higher flow than me, which is what it is to get to orange level, right? Where you're actually working together with others without having to know all the rules of the game, because they're going to teach you the rules of the game. And if you're doing that, then you should be investing your time at getting to yellow level, which is how do I really make sure that I've got my personal identity, how am I showing up in social media, how am I showing up in community. And if you're doing that right, then it's how do you actually now, because you've got traction there and productizing your brand, how do you now make sure that you can actually build a team around that? So in every case, I've changed how I design my time every single day based on which level I'm at. However, if you go to the Entrepreneur TV videos, which I've been posting every week, I'm sure many of you have seen, and you go and start from the very beginning, the first three are all about time. It's about how do you design your perfect day, how do you design your perfect week, and then how do you design your perfect flow, right? So you just go and look at those three. It's right there at the beginning of Entrepreneur TV as like the second playlist, and that will give you some tips on how to do that as well. We have here Maggie. Maggie says, no questions, but actually there is a question that comes right after this. No questions, as I am only just starting. Back with a group for after a few months away with health issues, so I have a lot of catching up to do. Not sure how or when I'm going to be able to make do this. You've got the rest of your life, so it's all good. Feeling pretty overwhelmed right now, and I must admit, I guess my question would be, question. Where do I start? Do I try to go back from a start from the beginning, all of which I have forgotten, or pick up where I left off? Thanks. That's a really good question for anyone who actually misses one or two of these videos. Start from wherever you are. Start from momentum. The biggest excuse we make is there's too much to learn, so we won't learn anything. Right? It's like, oh, I'm too far in now, there's no point getting started. Just know that at any point, there's going to be someone who just starts today and is going to overtake you just by getting into action. If you don't yourself then say, right, I'm just going to start where I'm at, and I'm going to see what I can apply immediately and then apply it. Because on these videos, these Q&As, every single one of these Q&As has got steps that is going to be relevant to everyone listening, even if you didn't ask a question, because I'm going through every level of the spectrum here as well. So pick the things that are relevant to you and then go follow those things based on where you're at. That is my best advice. The last thing you should do is do nothing. Right? The last thing you should do is say, well, I'm not going to learn anything today or move forward at all. Genius U, as many of you know, now has got a dashboard which allows you to actually see how many learning steps, how many connections, how many social steps you're taking forward as well. So just follow that and just say, right, I'm just going to turn it into a game where every day I'm going to be asking myself three things. Three things are, what have I learned new today? So what do I know I didn't know before? Who have I connected with today? So who do I know I didn't know before? So what do I know? Who do I know? And thirdly, what am I doing today? Right? What action am I taking that I wasn't doing before? So it's what you know, it's who you know, it's what you're doing. Three things, that's it. And if you're always moving those things up a level every day, then it's just a matter of time before that true wealth, because wealth isn't how much money you have, it's what you're left with if you lose all your money. It's what you know, it's who you know, and it's what you're doing, right? Those three things. If you just keep focusing at those three and saying, am I actually improving that? And when I see someone out there who I admire or who's what are they doing to increase their learning every day? What are they doing to be in a different place, connect to the right people? What are they doing to make sure that they're actually taking hold of opportunities that weren't there yesterday, right? Then you're always going to find there's this kind of momentum that shows up, as you start doing that, right? So Maggie, that's what I would say for you. All right, let's come over, because I think that's pretty much all the foundation. One more. Sajid has one. This is a foundation question this time because it's similar to the one we heard earlier. Hey Roger, my question is, how do you break down your future vision into quarterly, monthly, weekly, and daily actions and habits? And when and how do you review and optimize this? I found having one most important goal, in my case entrepreneurial, to focus on per quarter is enough. And then for the other elements of my future vision, you want to incorporate that into your daily, weekly, and monthly habits and tweak it all on a weekly basis. Would love your thoughts, advice, and experience on this. You know when this gets most important? This gets most important when you've got a whole team and you need the whole team to be aligned to the vision of your company, where every single quarter, every single month, every single day, everyone's doing the right thing right now. So many of you have heard of me call this meaningful, measurable change. What is the most meaningful thing you can do, which means it's heading you towards your future vision? And what's the most measurable thing you can do, which takes you just one little step forward, right? So at the end of the day, like, greatness comes from 1,000 tiny actions, right? So it's like, what is those simple things that you're going to do on the way? So here's what I do. For my personal future vision, I map it out, obviously, once a year. We just had our Wealth Dynamics Masters in Tao, which was super exciting. So if you jump onto my Facebook page, you'll see all the photos from our resort there. That was like an awesome time, even though no Wi-Fi. And what was like really awesome is just having everyone read out their future visions, right? So we did that as part of the exercise. So you have that for the whole year. Then you break it down and you say, well, if that's the whole year, that's going to be a year from now, right? That's going to be where I'm at. What would that look like 3 months from now? And many of you already have done a micro degree, which is called Your Values, which has got in it a 3-month future vision as opposed to a 12-month. So I say, right, if that's going to be 12, like, what do I know is doable towards that future vision? Like, if I talked about my health and how healthy I'm going to be, what would that look like 3 months from now? My business, like, what would that business look like 3 months from now? Or like, if I said I was going to travel more, like, where would I have traveled within 3 months? And you actually create that like mini future vision of just the next quarter. And we do this for the whole company as well. It's like, where would we be as a whole company 3 months from now based on where we want to go for the year? So you've got that as the 3 month. Then once you've got the 3 month, then you look at it and say, well, that's 13 weeks, right? Like 13 weeks only. So if you've got 3 months, 13 weeks, what would that look like after just 1 month, 2 months, 3 months? And now you're just getting into really simple milestones, like really, really simple. And the easiest way to do it is get some Post-it notes, get a wall, put the 13 like lines down for the 13 weeks, see wherever you're at right now. Say, if that's where I'm going to be at the end of the quarter, what's all the things I want to achieve between now and then? And where do I put them basically between these 13 different weeks, right? So you actually map it out. So we actually know that because we have milestones for all of our different promotion plans, we know we've actually got just a very simple number of things every single week. And the rule is never have more than one big thing per week, right? Really, just one big thing per week. Because if you're going to knock over that one big thing, you'll feel so great because it's moving you towards where you want to get to, as opposed to having 1,000 things that don't get done, right? So that's basically the way that I break it up. And then I'll always look to do that big thing as soon as I can at the beginning of the week, right? Because if that's done early in the week, then the better. And this actually relates back to the videos which I recommended having a look at on our channel. So that's what I would say, Sajid, and hopefully that will work for you. All right, we're going to move up the scale now. We're going from red to orange. Okay, we've got Shaf here. Shaf from Organizational Rescue says, I'm working with people with the potential to make a lot of flow, like, you know, YGW, Great Big Adventures, Vicky Bogle, Sophie Marin-Haig, so great people in our network. So that's really awesome, Shaf. On a 3-month rolling contract, set fee basis, it's a job, well, in brackets. Yes, it's a job, but it's a job you love, right? So you're actually learning as you go. Now, should I continue to work with more and more of these level entrepreneurs, or should I use any testimonials from these success stories and go find an existing massive company to work for as a consultant, and for whom? Thanks. Hey, you know what? This is all 100% about following the lines of trust. It's not an either or. Do not go down the route of going back to cold leads where you're saying, well, that's a big company. You know, I'll work for them because they're going to give me more money. No, they won't if they don't trust you because they don't know who you are. So follow the lines of trust. Who trusts you most? Way better having 2 smaller companies that trust you, that are willing to pay you money, than one bigger company that doesn't trust you yet, that you're trying to persuade to actually give you money, right? So and the best way to do that is when you're just getting started, Chef, like the way you are right now, is you've got people saying, hey, I'm willing to pay you money on this. Go through those lines of trust. Say, hey, well, that's so awesome. Am I doing a good job? Yes, I am. Brilliant. Well, do you know of anyone that could actually do my services as well? Now be really aware as well that the whole goal at this first level, orange level, is to get enough cash flow to buy your time. So if you say, right, the cash flow I need is like £5,000 a month, then say, well, if I keep doing more of this, I keep on working with, like, how many people do I need? You know, someone's paying me $2,000 a month, someone's paying me $1,000 a month. Well, if I can get just one more person paying me $2,000 a month, or two paying me $1,000, that's my $5,000. How much of my time is going to take up? Well, that'll take up, like, 3 out of the 5 days a week. Brilliant. You just bought yourself 2 days of time, right? So then you use those 2 days of time to then really build up to the yellow level, which is now build your brand, get your testimonial stories, like get others to get to know about you as well. But really, really important that you want to get the Clark Kent time done first, and you want to make sure that you're not rushing into, now I'm going to go do my next big thing, and then you get back in the same situation where you're basically up against the lack of trust. Trust is flow, meaning that when you're following the lines of trust, you're going downhill. It's like water. It just flows naturally. And people just say, yep, I want to work with you. Right? The opposite of that, where you're going against trust, is like swimming against the current. Right? It just does not work, because you're then feeling everything's like pressure and everything's really difficult. So always find the lines of trust, even if it's small steps as you go, but it puts cash in your pocket, and then it builds confidence as well as credibility. And of course, collect all of the stories as you go, so people really start going, yeah, this is someone that I really want to work with. Only when you actually have more business getting referred to you than you can handle should you then be actually starting to say no to that business. And then basically you start building up your brand, so you start productizing whatever it is everyone loves from what you do. So it's no longer just selling your time. You've now turned it into a product that actually you can actually sell with or without you, right? Super important. We've got here Angela, right? So Angela Bellotti says, thank you, Roger, for today's Entrepreneur Fast Track in London. I've got a lot out of it, and my question relates to something you said in the afternoon session, i.e. flow doesn't come from clarity. If so, where does flow come from? So we actually answered this on the call. So those of you who've watched the call, you heard me talk about this whole difference of thinking that flow comes before clarity, right? Or sorry, flow comes after clarity, which is I got to get clear first, then I can get into flow. As opposed to what really happens in nature, where if you want to actually create a clear pond, you flow new water into it. It's through the flow you get to clarity. Like someone like Shaf just then. How does Shaf get into flow? Or how does she get clarity? She keeps on working in whatever pathway takes her into flow. She gets that momentum going, and then she says, oh, this is what people really like, as opposed to not having flow and trying to make it up for yourself, right? So really, really important. And we talk about that. I went into a bit more detail on the actual group call, but that's the key to this one, is that it's about getting into flow in whatever it takes. So you're in momentum, right? And then the clarity shows up, right? It's like before playing a game of football, jump on the pitch, right? Start kicking the ball around, see who's best in which position, and it becomes very obvious how to play the game much, much faster than sitting on the sidelines trying to read a book, right, on how to play football. So really important that you want to just jump into it. We have got a few more questions here on the R2O, red to orange, right? We have Aldona Hawthorne here. How else can I promote Wealth Migrate at the moment? I have connected with some people on social media, but it will take time to develop followers. What is the best way to start building a community on GeniusU? And what do you think about microdegrees, why and how to invest in Wealth Migrate portal or to start a circle? Great question, Aldona. So we just ran our microdegree builder program. We had Scott Picken and 3 of his team, who are the ones who are running all the communities on Wealth Migrate, all coming in to actually build their microdegrees. So they all want to do it, right? They're all part of this right now. So the real key is to actually say, yeah, I mean, I'm going to go in reverse. A microdegree on why and how to invest in Wealth Migrate would be awesome. So definitely you can do that. Starting a circle is the first step. So you can actually have one there for Wealth Migrate investors, and then actually get connected up for your investors there as well, which is absolutely the way to go. And the best way to promote Wealth Migrate at the moment, they're already running events. They're already actually looking for the right partners and affiliates to actually work with. They've got a great model, and it just happens that this week is the week that they're actually doing the launch of their cryptocurrency, which is Wealthy Coin. So they're actually launching that right now. And Scott's going to be launching also a test called the Wealthy Test, which actually shows you what is your IQ, which is your investment quotient, your your SQ, which is your social quotient, and he's got like these 5 that link to the 5 elements as well, which is really cool. So we're helping him to actually develop that. So all this is coming, but right now get connected in with all of the programs that they're running. And definitely, build the process. What Aldona's doing is perfect. It's working with someone that's already got flow, and then actually saying, right, how can I help them get into more flow? And then, of course, from that, you're going to end up earning cash, as well as actually adding value to your network. And then, more importantly, seeing how other companies already are working while you're earning money from them, right? So you're earning and learning at the same time. Right, let's come over next to, we are coming down I think that is, yeah, that's all the red to orange. So we're now coming over to our orange to yellow. So now we've got some of the kind of like solopreneur getting into small businesses in terms of the real key questions around here. Okay, so we are going to start right now, first of all, with one from Marie, who was just at Tao, which was awesome. So I hope you had a good trip back, Marie. Marie from Surrender Your Wealth says, what do you prepare before you shoot your videos? Okay, how scripted are they? Meaning both in what you will say and where you move. I think what I said earlier about what I said earlier to Sajid, which is how I actually look at the whole picture and then break it down. That's what I do with the videos as well. So I've already mapped out. We've got 26 videos in a series right now, which is our Entrepreneur TV 2018. So I know what those 26 are. I mean, I just said, right, if I was going to go on a 26 and by the end of the 26, someone really knew how to 10 times their business, going through basically each of the different micro degrees that we actually put together on the Entrepreneur Mentor certification, right, which is like 12 in a row. And we actually went through the first 6, because 26 is obviously, 6 months, right? So that's like half a year. So if we went through the first 6, then what would I be doing on each one of those? What would be the title of each one? And then once I know the title, then I'm like, right, that's the title for this week. Then I'll say, okay, where am I going to start it? Where am I going to finish it? What's the point I'm going to make? What's the story I'm going to have? And then what is the inspiration or action that I'm going to take out of it as well, right? So it's like, boom, there it is. And I'll just like link them in. And I tend to, because I don't want to spend a lot of time doing what a lot of YouTubers do, which is go out there and do lots of editing and so on. So a way better way, given that we all want to see something of interest, is just walk, which is what I do, as you see in the videos often. But basically, it's not about a script like I'm remembering every single thing. I just remember those 4 things that I just mentioned, which is what's the story I'm going to tell, what's the biggest learning that I want people to get out of it, right? So big takeaway. And then what is the inspiration, what's the action, right? So like really, really simple, straightforward, everyone gets it. And then people want to come back for more if that's their jam, right? So that's what I do. Okay, let's come over. And by the way, yeah, I also figure out where I'm going to go, roughly. But most of what I do is actually just on the hoof. And I have a rough idea where I'm going to start, where I'm going to finish, but I don't practice it. I don't walk it through. And I always do it in one take, right? But that's me, right? Everyone does it a little bit different. Okay, Eileen Forrestal, who actually also was in Tao, right? So guys, we just met recently. So Eileen's in Ireland with Get Up and Go Diary. How do I get more schools to take on the new Get Up and Go homework journal? The response to the promotion competition was less than we expected, as the runner-up schools or any other schools don't want to commit to pay 50% of a journal not yet designed. Is there another better way to monetize this process? Well, I know we talked about this, Eileen, but I'm going to repeat it for everyone on this call as well. Really important. If you've tried a promotion to a particular, you've guessed something. It's like, I think schools would be up for actually buying in bulk or for all of their students or sell on to the students my journals. So that's a guess. You don't know if it's true or not. You just think it's true. You've got enough flow and momentum to give it a go. I mean, like, easiest way is to go speak to 5 schools and find out, would you do this or not? But if you go, no, we're going to go to 20 schools, we're going to make this happen. And then you go to them and they all say no, or they'll only do it if you're going to do it at less than cost. That's a pretty good clue that you're doing the wrong thing. So the whole idea of promotion is you're either earning or you're learning. And what you should learn from that is it's actually the wrong model. Like, there's a reason schools aren't going out buying lots of diaries for everybody. There's a reason they don't even buy homework. Like, they don't even buy textbooks for anybody, right? They actually say to the parents, you have to go buy these textbooks, right? So if it's not compulsory, if it's not part of the curriculum, schools would have no interest in it unless they happen to be super progressive or just have really big budgets, right? So given that that's the case, you've got to say, well, whose problem am I really solving? Because I'm not really solving the school's problem, right? The school doesn't see they've got a problem at motivating the kids in the same way. Well, certainly not for budget. Do the kids have a problem they're willing to pay for? Probably not. Do the parents have a problem that they'd be willing to pay for? Maybe. Are there companies out there that would love to get to the kids where they'd actually sponsor those journals so that everyone then gets a copy of the journal for free and the company gets out in front of all the kids? Most likely that's the easiest way to do it, right? But it's about you testing each one to see which one actually works best. And you don't have to spend a lot of time making anything. You just go speak to your customer. And I know that was the biggest issue, was that you weren't speaking to your customer, right? So speak to your customer, get in front of them, because until you care enough about them, they can see that, there's no reason for them to buy your product, right? So that's what I would say for you, and for anyone in that same situation. You should never be trying to guess what would the customer pay for or what would they do, because you don't need to guess if you can go speak to them, right? They'll already tell you. And if you're not willing to put that time in, don't expect them to put the time in to actually buy from you either. Right. I'm going to go next to Mona. We got Mona here, Mona Daha. Okay, so Mona says here, having worked through previous course, micro degrees, course with Danny and other mentors, I believe I am closer to clearly state my why. The question is, do I spend most of my next 3 months flight plan enhancing my current offer to the market, focusing on my company's already doing, or since I am cash flow positive, which is awesome, with some money to invest, do I spend this time and investment on developing my personal brand to the extent that this will become income in the next 6 months? Or do I take time, investment, and change my current company, iMac brand, to incorporate the Driving the Heart Through Africa with a change in focus on social enterprise, which is a combination of personal, fine-tuning, expanding product and brand, or should the Driving the Heart Through Africa focus be a totally new and separate company and team? So, Mona, it's like, you got lots and lots of different options of what you do, but the most important thing is, what's your promotion going to be, right? Like what's the one profitable thing you can do right now where it's not like, do I make money, or do I go and do something that's going to lose money but build my brand, or do I do something which is going to kind of like maintain my status quo but allow me to go and explore something new? There's no reason to have those options of either or. The real question is, how do I make money while at the same time going towards my future vision, right? If I have a goal of how much extra money I'm going to be making, which means I'm delivering more value to the market, if I have a goal that I want to build the Driving the Heart Through Africa brand, if I have a goal of being able to travel more and get more people involved in my personal brand and my community, great. Then do all of it together. Say, right, I'm going to actually create, for example, a workshop or a retreat or something which is going to take people on the journey or an adventure where they're going to actually have an opportunity to see everything we mean when we talk about Driving the Heart Through Africa. We're going to have an opportunity to earn money while we're doing that, while we're learning at the same time, and we're actually getting together with the customers that we really care about. So there's always a way to put it all together. Look at any of the things that we do. We never do anything which is basically just spending money and losing money just for the sake of learning something new. It'll always be the earning and learning together. And if we don't quite hit our numbers or we don't quite get to where we want to, we've learned some new things, but we're always one step forward as well, right? So it's never either or. So that's what I would say in your case, is ask yourself, what's the promotion plan that allows me to, number one, be able to put the cash in my pocket, number two, that will allow me to build my brand, number three, which will allow me to actually get my first customers on board with my new brand and my new mission as well, and bring it all together and say, what would that need to look like, right? And you'll find that it's out there, right? That's the key. Okay, I'm going to come over to Michelle Nolting next. Michelle says, who we saw again very recently, based on our other interactions and the calls I've had with Danny, please could you take a look at my website and let me know if it's clear and any suggestions to change it. I've been defining my ideal client as high-performance teams and individuals, entrepreneurs and financial planners. I had a meeting with the person who assists me with social media and website structure last week, and I've asked for some changes to be made. Could you give me more perspective, please? Right. So this is Michelle's website. Michelle's one of our Crystal Circle members, so I actually did this in our Crystal Circle call as well. If you go to michelle-is-your-coach.com, you'll see that there is a coffee cup. It says Michelle is your coach. It says we can all believe in our goal at the end of the rainbow, and then it has a bit of a story about who Michelle is. It's got a picture of Michelle. It's got what services I provide, personalized one-on-one sessions, standard coaching sessions, and then after that, it has basically some information like a blog and so on. And I remember saying to Michelle, don't expect, like, as a branding site, great, but don't expect to get any actual revenues or any delivery on this. So what's really, really important for everyone who's at yellow level, because even that orange to yellow, like steps here, the most important thing is to understand that when we talk about the brand triangle, your personal brand, your product brand, and your company brand, your websites need to link with your brand triangle. Your personal brand is going to be around forever. Go to rogerjameshamilton.com and you'll see I'm not selling anything on my personal brand. It's all about the fact that I know there's going to be people saying, who's this Roger guy? If they go to my site, it allows them to see my credibility. It sees I'm a best-selling author. It shows all the companies I'm involved in. It shows what I stand for. So don't expect to sell anything, or don't try to sell anything from your site, but do show your credibility and your connections to others. And it's kind of like my railing that I hang everything from. So you can go there and find my Facebook, find my Twitter, all those kind of things as well, right? So that's all about conversation, right? So be really, really aware that conversation is your personal brand. Conversion is your product brand. So every time we actually go out with any new promotion for a product, an event with tickets, a retreat event retreat bookings, all of it, like our resort, right, where we're actually like got a promotion going on, right? This is the difference of conversation, which is like join the conversation, like be approachable, to then go from conversation to conversion, which is like actually make a sale. It's a different site. And whenever we go promoting, we never send people to my personal brand site. We're always sending them to a specific site. So, Michelle, as your site goes, it's good as a personal brand site, but you want to make sure you got a conversion site as well, or else you won't be making sales out of it, right? And then you got the third one, which is credibility, which is your company site, right? Which is basically, is this company a legit thing? Is it something that's got a team around it? Is it something that's got a good mission behind it, right? And you're not trying to sell things from your company site. That's just building credibility for the company, separate from the conversation that you're having around yourself as well. So have a look at our sites, and you'll see how we do that. Choose your favorite thought leader or your favorite company. Richard Branson with Virgin Group, and then specifically with promotion for Virgin Airlines. Have a look and see how they do it, and you'll see that they actually do exactly the same thing. Really important, right? But I gave that feedback, and that is hopefully something that can help everyone here. Let's come down to a few more here. We have got here Nicola Grace. So Nicola says, 2 a.m. in the morning for me, so I'll be watching the replay. So she wasn't on our group call because Nicola is now in Costa Rica. Looking at monetizing model going forward to get more leverage into my life. Last year, only had 3 people push my $20,000 program. And so Nicola, if you go to nicolagrace.com, you'll see Nicola's company is all around transformational mentoring and coaching. So 3 had the 20,000 program, 6 bought the 10,000 after completing her RM mentoring, despite people getting great results on it. I think it's because, number one, after 20 years of doing online marketing in various forms, I'm totally over helping people launch online. And number 2, want to move on and do the part I really love. When I asked my 20,000 clients why they signed up over the past 3 years, 100% of them said it was because they also got the spiritual awakening and psychic mentoring so they could build their business, right? Okay, so I'm floundering to design the new 20,000 to be more on the spiritual awakening side and less on the online marketing, and bring in partners to do that part. So my question is around getting some input on what the 20,000 would look like. I have the 10,000 done, and I'm happy with it. I sold 3 packages of those already this year. What would it look like for the 20,000? After people have clarified and monetized their life's purpose and mission, what would I then take them to if I don't want to do the online marketing mentoring anymore? All right, so that's basically the concept, like how do I do it? This is all about really being aware of who your customer is, right? Because it isn't just about well, how can I get more people at 20,000, right? It isn't just about how many people might see value in the 20,000, because you've probably got a lot of people that see value in actually having direct contact with you and be able to think globally and be around a community of people who are all spending $20,000. The issue is how to get to those people who not only like the value but have the affordability, because you have to have them side by side. So I'll tell you a quick story, right? So this is a story of a group that I joined called the 25K Club. So it doesn't take a genius to figure out it costs $25,000, right? So this is Joe Polish's group. And he's kind of like a pretty good expert at these kind of like high-level programs, right? So he helped also people like Peter Diamandis start Abundance 360. I already had my program that was going on, but I saw how he also helped people like Jeff Walker set up his Platinum group. And I was like, okay, so there's like similarities between all of these. And most of those groups are ones where they're not virtual like My Crystal Circle. They're where you kind of show up maybe 3 or 4 times a year. It's kind of modeled also on Dan Sullivan's Strategic Coach, where you kind of show up with a whole group of people, you spend a couple of days together, you do lots of brainstorming, you get some really good value, and then off you go again, right? So for busy people, it works that way too. But all of them work in the same way, which is that they don't go out massively promoting this thing. They don't have big websites anywhere, in the same way that we don't have a Crystal Circle website where you can just go and book up for Crystal Circle. It's all by invitation. And more importantly, it's about where do you find the people for the invitation. So in the case of some people like Dan Sullivan, they've been going for so long that they've got hundreds of people who are all paying around about, I'm not sure how much it is, maybe 15, 20,000 to do this, but they just have been around for a long time, delivering a lot of value, which people say, I want to pay for that value, right? So that's one way. I think the way that Joe Polish did it, which is really interesting, is he had a guy called Kevin, who actually introduced me to Joe in the first place, who would go onto LinkedIn, I would find all the people already that were in similar programs, like they'd be on Tony Robbins' Platinum, Mastermind, for example, where they're paying a lot more money already. They would then send a direct mail to each of these people saying, we have a very exclusive group, which includes this and this and this person. We notice that you have all the qualifications of potentially being a part of this group. If you're looking for XYZ right now, and you think that this might be the right group to be invited into, not to join, but to be invited into, we'd be happy to have a conversation with you to see if there's some common reason to, or common ground as to why we should be coming together and be part of this, right? I had a very similar thing happen to me when I went to Web Summit, right? So Web Summit has an Asia version, which is in Hong Kong, which is called Rise. So I was a speaker at Rise. I was already booked in to go, and we also had Genius who was going to be there. So I get this call out of the blue, an email first of all, which said, we've seen your resume, we've seen your bio. We're very interested in having a conversation with you because we have a very, very exclusive extra event that's taking place by invitation only, and your name has come up, and we'd like to actually have a conversation to see whether or not you might be a fit to be invited along. So not even an invitation to be joining, but an invitation to be invited, right? So of course I'm interested. I'm like, well, that's interesting. What's this whole thing about? So I said, sure, I'll have a 10-minute conversation. Get on the call with a guy. He says, look, first of all, don't want to waste your time, so I know you're busy. I want to share a little bit in a moment about what we do and how we're doing it. But let me just ask you, first of all, you're obviously coming out to Rise already. What's your biggest goal, your biggest action you're looking to take this year? That if you had the very, very best network in the world to actually support you, then that would be awesome, right? So perfect question, right? So I'm like, oh, well, here's what I'm looking to do right now, blah, blah. They said, well, then this might be the right thing potentially for you. Here's what we do. It's an exclusive group of 300 CEOs, 300? 100 maybe. 100 CEOs. Yeah, so it's a smaller group. And again, remember, these guys have 10,000 in the whole place. You get invited to come along to this thing. You're meeting with certain people. Here's a list of all the people coming. So I was really interested in this, right? And then at the end of it, he said, if we were to extend an invitation to you, is this the kind of thing that you're likely to accept? So he wasn't even inviting me in yet. So I said, well, actually it would. I didn't get on the call thinking I was going to say yes, but when I heard what he had to say, and I actually felt very flattered that he'd asked, and I thought this is actually a really good group of people. And there's a part of me thinking, well, it'd be a bit weird if I didn't go along, because I recognized some of the people going to it, and they were going to go. I should be going to this as well. So he said, great, well then, if you're up for it, then what I'll do is I'll give you the link. You can go in, make the payment, join. And I didn't even know what the payment was at that point, right? And it wasn't a cheap amount. But the whole point about this is, they targeted who were the right people that, number one, would see the value, and number two, had the affordability. Nicola, I think you could do that, right? The other option is that you go for something which is a much, much broader base, where you expect only 1 in 100 people who are your customers would be able to actually afford the $20,000. We do that for Crystal Circle, right? I mean, we have hundreds of thousands of people who come on board as customers, many of them just paying $30 or $100, but it's only a very small number that we know not only see value in having my personal mentoring, but at the same time actually have got the means to do it. And similarly with Genius Entrepreneur Mastermind, it's at a different level where people say, I'm willing to invest time, invest money to get more personalized knowledge, to get these videos, rather than just basically going and read a book, right? So everyone will have that particular pathway. If you've got a wide enough base, you're always going to have a percentage that want to do that. If you don't have a wide enough base, go and target them directly, right? And say, right, which events do these people go to? Which networks are they on online? How would I actually go and actually directly focus at them, and how do I actually make this a really exclusive invitation that people will be willing to go and share with their friends if they're the right friends as well. And then you're going to be able to get the right people on board as well. But remember, it's all about connection. People come for the content, they stay for the connection. So it's going to be as much about who else is in the group and what value they're going to get in it as anything they're actually going to learn in there. And the experiences that you're going to give them as well, right? That would be the way I'd package it up if I was you. Okay. I'm going to come to Gabby. So Gabby says, hello Roger, for the 100 year Women's Suffrage UK celebrations, I've designed a mini Gabby voting image. I am giving it free as a high resolution image on my online shop for people who do download and print the poster themselves. My question is, should I also put these kind of images on t-shirts and sell them? Then she says, I feel a bit strange about selling the more political related images. Would it be unethical? What do you think? Many thanks. No one thinks it's unethical when you are making a point, covering merchandise costs, going out there with a message. In fact, a lot of the top brands today have got very, very powerful messages they actually send out there, right? Which are around social justice, which are around equality. So don't actually think for a moment that you can't be out there actually selling these and delivering. I think it's a great idea. I think going down that route where you've actually got them, as a way for people to really kind of like wear that as a badge of honor, linking it to the 100 years women's suffrage UK celebrations, I think it's just fantastic, right? So do it, for sure. Okay, so Rory Callahan says, magnify and connect to market. This is relevant to cash flow and partnered enterprise. I wish to attract 100 new customers. From your point of view, Roger, if you had to find 100 new customers in the health and well-being space, where would you start? How would you personally go about it, knowing what you know now? Strategies for attraction, word of mouth, referrals. Well, it's already happening. I mean, like, we basically are doing exactly that with Health Dynamics, right? So we, together with Joe, have now got hundreds of customers that have come on board, and it's by actually just like saying, right, what's going to be something of real value, which creates a full pathway. So I know, Roy, you're at that point where it's like, okay, right, I'm creating my tribe, I'm getting the people together. It's about how compelling is the actual product brand. Because there are so many people in the health space. There's so many people out there that are actually saying, I can help you make you be healthy. I can, do it in a holistic way. But then it's like, where's the proof, right? Like, where's the actual product that I'm going to be using that I can get that is really going to make a difference in my life? And I don't want to have a brand new product I've never heard of before. I want to have something that's got something proven behind it. So obviously with Health Dynamics, we were using my brand to some extent. We were using our community. We were using the whole concept that everyone already understood Health Dynamics, Wealth Dynamics, and so Health Dynamics was obviously linked to it. And then the moment that people heard of Joe at our events, it was like, yep, I want to be a part of this thing. So the thing really took off. So the most important thing, coming back to my earlier theme around flows of trust, is the most important way to get from 10 to 100 is to say, how are you flowing trust through the people that are coming on board, so it's a no-brainer for them to be a part of this. Don't go out trying to create a whole new product until you've got over 100 customers, and then you can start like tailor-making your own products to get to 1,000, right? But even to get to 100, you're still at the point where you should be saying, right, which are the products I love most? Maybe I'll take my top 1, 2, or 3, combine them all together into your own suite of products, and then say, right, this is what we're going out with, and everyone goes, wow, I want to have that. And then they're all going to come on board because of that suite of products as opposed to any one product. I still remember my very, very first entrepreneur event that I ran. It's kind of interesting because we're just now rebranding the Fast Forward events, and everyone should be seeing this in the next couple of weeks. We're running a March promotion for all of our events for the whole year, and we have the Global Entrepreneur Summit now, as it used to be the Fast Forward Summit. Now it's the Global Entrepreneur Summit because we've got a lot more stuff than just the Fast Forward stuff now. And then obviously Entrepreneur Fast Track that many of you have been to already. So you see the whole thing's around those two. And the very first entrepreneur event I ran was in Singapore. It was in the year 2002, I think it was. It was the same year that Wealth Dynamics came out. And I knew if I just did a thing where I talked about Wealth Dynamics, because some people knew about me, but I certainly wasn't like a household name at that point, why would anyone come for my event? So instead, I actually created an event called the Global Entrepreneur Summit. And I invited Tony Fernandez, who came down. He's the founder of AirAsia, so he came down from Malaysia. We had Ho Kwon Ping, who set up the Banyan Tree. We had like Elin Chu, who's like really well known in Singapore for her fashion brand, and a whole series of people like that. Brad Sugars, who came in from Australia. So I just invited a number of different people, and I said, this is to go and make a difference to entrepreneurs in Singapore. So we filled it up. We had over 1,000 people that came for the event. And I got to stand on stage and speak as well, right? But I was just one of the speakers, and I was probably the least known of all the speakers that were there at the time. But the whole point was that I was not starting by saying, I need people to know about me, because why would anyone know about me? I just needed them to come for the event. So why not go out and actually parachute in on the brands of others as opposed to go out and have to build your brand from scratch? So that is exactly the same in terms of building your product brands. Work with other product brands, bring them into your product brand as well, and then build it from there. And work with like people who are well known already. That's the fastest way to get to 100, because you're not then leveraging on a brand that's not yet known. Why should 90 people come along just because 10 know about it? But once over 100 are now your customers, you've got lots of success stories, then you can actually start going out and using more of your own personal branding. And that's the most important thing. Okay, Julie Hogbin says, what are your thoughts on branding a person versus branding? Julie's got a lot of questions on here. Julie, what are your thoughts on branding a person versus branding a company? I'm in the process of sorting out, I hope. I'm semi-branded and the face as such. I also want to not sell my time all the time, and I will want to exit at some point and gather others to sell deliver my products. Yeah, so it's all about your personal brand to begin with. That's why I put you in the orange to yellow level. It's about knowing, like, go look at Richard Branson and see just how many people follow him on Twitter compared to how many people follow him Version Group, right? There's no comparison. No one buys from a company. No one, right? People buy from a well-known brand that means something to them, right? Which doesn't even have to be a company. It's a brand, which then represents a series of products. And then the fact that that brand might be the name of the company, that's why they're buying from it. But no one actually says I'm buying just because it's a particular company. They're buying because of the personal brands behind the company, the brand of the company itself, and most importantly, the products that they love most as well. In fact, most car companies, you're not even aware of who owns who, right? Most people aren't aware. If you actually think about Porsche and you think of Volkswagen and you think of different brands, that they're actually all owned by the same company, right? So just being really aware that you are not trying to build a product, you're looking to solve a problem, right, for the customer. And if the customer puts a name to that, puts a brand to that, then they're going to always come back to that because it's solving the same problem for them again and again. And then your product can evolve over time, or you can even package with others with your product too. Okay, so we are going to come over. We got quite a few yellow to green this time around, actually. So we're going to come to the final yellow ones here. We have 3 more, and then we're going to get to our green colors here. We have 2 from our Total Wellness. We have Neil, who says, "Hi, Roger. As you might remember, one of the things we do is help wellness business streamline their back end." Yes, I do remember, Neil. With marketing, follow-up, finance, and admin so they can scale. We can probably take 1 more client, maybe 2, so we then max out. So congratulations on that. That's really good. We tried growing via team once before, but found everyone just wanted me and Joe, and we never successfully got out of the loop. My question is there a potential short-term package you can see that might work for a yellow-green level business joining Total Wellness Club, i.e. where we help with the back end to get them set up on the system and collecting reviews? I'm thinking something that has a clear process to it with a start and end date and deliverables where we could use team to replicate. The answer is definitely. I mean, like, we're actually doing that ourselves, where we have many partners that know that running a promotion plan works. They know that, using Genius U works, but they want someone to handhold them through it. So Michelle set up something for Genius U, which is called the Business Accelerator Program, which actually walks them through and gets them accountable and goes on these calls. And they all book up, right? Because people go, that's what I want, and they'll just join it, right? Suraj is something similar in terms of a service that he's now got in Genius U, where, like, for $2,000 a month or $4,000 a month, people who are looking to get their entire online funnels, they can get that through Suraj, right? And you'll choose someone who says, okay, if you're going to be investing, I can't remember what the number is, but let's say it's something like, I don't know, $5,000 or so on ads per month, and then expect to make $25,000 a month in revenues from your online sales, then he'll set it all up for you, get it all going, and it'll cost $2,000 a month, which is definitely worth it for the $25,000 you make, right? Or there's one for double that, right, where you make $50,000 a month. So it's only for people that are actually already at that level, where they're like, hey, I already know I have something that I can deliver, but I want to figure out how to do the very best, Facebook retargeting, advertising, Google AdWords. So that he provides that service, which then supports Genius U and supports the partners. So you can do exactly the same for Total Wellness Club, where you say, right, I'm going to really support the companies that really want to make the most of this. We'll put a marketing package together that will support you. We expect you to make this much money out of it. Test it with 1 or 2 first to make sure you can make the money with them, and then that becomes a no-brainer for others to come join as well. And package it, right? So it becomes something called, the Total Wellness Marketing Package or something like that. So people actually then know that this is ideal for those who are actually out there within the wellness industry to really build their marketing. Joe has a different question. Last month you shared retention, engagement, and virality, and the key to that being successful is user-generated content. I'm sure you feel like a broken record with us, but can you give out more detail on the type of user-generated content we could use in Total Wellness Club for our avatar, Elaine Entrepreneur, the Wellness Seeker? Last month you suggested as an example the top 10 yoga instructors, but Elaine Entrepreneur doesn't seem so interested in that and not bothered about sharing it either. We know we're missing something here, so we would appreciate all valuable insights as ever. So it's not about them sharing stuff as much as them adding stuff. So if you actually said, well, what would Elaine Entrepreneur, the Wellness Seeker, want on your Total Wellness Club platform? Would you want a dashboard that allows her to see like all of her favorites in one place? Would you want to have a place where she can actually put in her personal preferences, what she actually enjoys most, the things that she's most interested in, so you can then deliver to her those things she's most interested in? Is she looking for a way to connect with other like-minded people as her? You can only know this stuff by actually going and connecting with her. It's like, oh, if you see what we do in Genius U, it's all entrepreneurs, right? It's very much like Elaine, your entrepreneur, who actually say, well, I'm willing to put a lot of information in on my profile to do my assessments, to do all those things, so I can then actually give you more information for you to then pass that back to me. And then, of course, you've then got all this really great gold that people then basically have passed to you to make it more valuable to them. So this is not about you trying to just get them to just put in content for the sake of it. It's getting them to do something which then makes your platform more valuable to them than it was before. So have a look at Genius U, see what we've done, the way we've done it. Go back to TripAdvisor. Why has TripAdvisor actually got all these ratings and got all that cool stuff on there? Because people find there's real value for them having all that stuff on there as well, right? So that's what I would be doing, because I know what you're doing is model off TripAdvisor in the first place. Gareth Thompson says here, I'm setting up a brand new company that aims to train and create 10,000 eco-entrepreneur startup companies in 2028, by 2028. I'm building online training courses as an entry point, and I've organized my first sellout eco hackathon as a primer event lead magnet. So congratulations on that. That's awesome. My question is, how do I differentiate myself from other entrepreneur training programs? Brackets, other than the fact that I'm focusing exclusively on eco entrepreneurs. Well, first of all, that's a pretty awesome thing to do, right? So the fact that you are focusing exclusively on eco entrepreneurs in itself is a really good thing. Secondly, you could always link in with B1G1 and say, and everyone who basically comes on here is already making a difference to the planet by then giving to a charity in some way. Thirdly, you could actually do this in such a way that you're actually saying, for everyone who actually comes onto this, you're actually connecting with other eco-entrepreneurs and getting the very, very best knowledge that others out there aren't getting as to how you actually get yourself to the eco market in terms of the smartest places to get connected to, the best messaging to give. That you don't need more than that. I mean, that's what it's all about. Where if I was an eco-entrepreneur and I knew there was this happening and I saw that you're going to teach me more about my market than anyone else would because you're so focused, that you're going to get me connected to more people just like me because you're so focused, and that you're actually going to actually provide some kind of a difference and put a difference in the way you deliver the program compared to anyone else because you're so focused, why would I not book up with you instead of going with someone else? So just keep focused at that niche, because it's a huge niche, but it's also one that is becoming, obviously with green energy and with the whole green planet movement, a bigger and bigger area as well. Okay, awesome. So we're going to come out to a final results here. We have final questions here. We are going to, and we're coming up to the hour as well. So we're going to come over and cap it off with all our yellow to green questions. LaSalle, hi Roger, thank you so much. Your co-creation tip was a blast. It changed my whole approach to marketing. I'm basically only working with partners now. MVP via partner 1, and then the next level of partners for the next level of business, and so on. Now, for business level 3, I have requested to partner up with companies and possibly with my old school via a licensing model. Trust is there. Partners are decision makers. Budget is available, right? So that's all good. So the question, how could a component approach, so if you've actually watched my videos where I talk about difference of component value compared to investment value, component approach work for organizations, companies, schools with a large number of members. I'm unsure about how to approach pricing the component when I also sell direct. Could the component approach for a digital product be combined with the licensing model and recurring payments? I'd love your thoughts on this. Any cool triangulation model? Much gratitude from this very thankful steel person. So great question, LaSalle. And the bottom line is that's exactly how curriculums work, right? I mean, like all curriculums, you're actually paying for those exams going through, right? That's how all textbooks work, right? You've got to have the textbook with it, so you're actually taking a product approach that way as well. So there's always a way to do that where there's actually something that someone's doing. That's how our wealth dynamics works, right? And it's like people will actually pay, a little bit for that as well. I think for education in particular, we are moving into this entire mode where there's no question that it's going to be the companies that are going to be paying for the revolution in the education system, because they have as big a need as students. Students have a need which is to be employable or to be doing meaningful work, figuring out how to be an entrepreneur. Companies have a bigger need, which is to actually find people that are employable, right? Find people that actually are self-aware and are great leaders, and they're not getting them from the current schooling system. So they're actually more and more willing to actually invest in a new system which actually allows people in the education system to be able to actually learn far more effectively. All the biggest companies from Microsoft to McDonald's have got their own universities already where they're actually training up people into all the skills that they're looking for as well. So I think there is that triangulation model for sure that is there with a license model that you can link into it. The fact that you've actually got already, companies that actually want to support you and work with you, I think is awesome. So I think that's definitely the approach you want to take for sure. Jacqueline Pigden says, hi Roger, I found that many supporters who are successful in the business and good at what they do don't really like getting paid referral fees. They believe that what goes around comes around, and don't want to be placed in a situation of anyone thinking they have a conflict of interest, etc., etc. Affiliate commissions for digital products seems more acceptable than adding on, for example, 10% for someone's core service. What's your view on this? I know there's a point that you wouldn't have the business without the referral from a supporter, but my question is more around supporters who don't feel right about accepting a referral fee. So Jacqueline, I think it all depends on your 100% depends on what kind of industry you're in. I mean, the entire headhunting industry, they all get referral fees because that's how they earn the money. The PR industry is all about basically like, I'll get you that, like, those referrals, the people I know, and I'll pay and I'll charge you for it as well, right? The whole recruitment market works that way. So it depends on which market you're talking about. We know that anyone who's a real estate agent says, I'll bring you a client and then you pay me a percentage, right? So like lots of supporters are in businesses where that happens. If you're in a business where that's not happening, like, they actually like just have a great community and you're inviting them for an event, for example, or you're inviting them to actually, pass business your way, then if they go, oh, I don't want to keep the referral fee, it's like, great, then give that as a discount to your client, right? Tell them this is like a super awesome thing because you're my partner, that you're able to give them this discount, and that you actually really believe in the product, right? Then they'll be happy to do that as well. So it all depends on the kind of business model you're in and the way you want to do it. But obviously, if a supporter doesn't want to make the money because they feel that they're going to be kind of earning off their goodwill, then turn it into a discount instead. That's what I'd say. All right, so let's come over next to our final few questions here. We have one here from Sebastian. Hi, Roger. Re-listening to the Millionaire Master Plan, we realized that we have a mixture of red, orange, and green team members. In order to move up to blue level ourselves, we'll need a solid group of green team leaders. I've seen some of the team moving through the Wealth Lighthouse over time and others not. From your experience, is it easier to train staff up to go to green level, or is it easier to find green team members through new hires? So many thanks, Sebastian. So we actually cover this also on our call. You can go back and have a look at the call, but I'm sure you've actually watched it already, where this was one of the questions, and it's 100% about knowing that you're always going to be attracting green level people if you're already thinking blue, right? So it's about how do you actually get some blue mentors around you so that then the green level people want to come work with you as well, right? Because they get that the blue mentors can bring in resources, knowledge, money that others can't bring in, right? So that's why green team members want to be around those people, because then it allows them to do more as well. And most importantly, you absolutely can't just train someone up to green level if you're not green level yet yourself, right? So go get some strong yellow level people that then want to move up to green, and then really get them to support you, drive the P&Ls, and then from there you can then start bringing them up to green once you've got some blue levels around you as well, right? So people are always going to come into the vacuum of the level above, right? Green doesn't just want to work with green, they want to work with blue. So bring the blues in that want to work with you, and then actually have the vision to then grow. Okay, so we have here Camilla from Ouroboros, who says, my question relates to partnerships, although I'm not sure I'm able to phrase it correctly yet. One of the biggest multinational consultancy out there has expressed interest in exploring partnership opportunities with us. They are now looking at building a handful of partners in an ecosystem, strengthening their purpose platform. This could be a massive opportunity for us, as the interest they express not only is based upon our strengths, but also our future vision. My question is somewhat broad at this stage. We are a very small actor compared to them. I can only imagine there's a lot of vulnerabilities we need to design out if possible in exploring setting up a partnership. Is there any do's and don'ts I should pay attention to at the initial phase? Yes. In fact, not just for this partnership, but pretty much for any partnership. Start small. Do a test. Make it a no-brainer. Like, what could you say to them and say, let's just go try this, right? Or, hey, we're just going to go try this, right? Don't even ask for permission. Say, we're going to go try this and see if we can get this kind of result. If you're not sure what the result is they're looking for, say, like, what's the biggest thing you're really looking to achieve, and what would be like the ideal minimum amount of either spend or time invested from your side to make this worthwhile, right? It's like, and we don't spend any money on it. It's like, right, great, we'll do something for free. Or it's like, well, we could throw 10 grand or 50 grand at this and see if it could work. It's great. Then we'll go deliver this for you, get you this result. And if it works, then we do more together, right? So always come in with something which is a no-brainer for them to say yes to. Find out what their budgets are. Find out basically what doesn't require approval of anyone else. Say, let's just go for it and give something a go, because until we've actually proven ourselves to you, there's no reason for you to do a bigger deal with us, right? And then people go, that's fair, cool. And then they will actually then be much more likely to say yes to something small, which then leads to something bigger off the back of it. That's what I do. Jules Johan says, thank you for your guidance thus far! Exclamation mark. Thank you, Jules. May I check if you have any advice on choosing the right investors? Would love to hear how you chose your investors and partners for Genius U. Well, funny you should mention that, because we actually had a really interesting conversation about to what extent should we be going out there and finding bigger investors, or whether we start with smaller investors. And we decided we wanted to start with investors that aligned to our own thinking. So we actually went out deliberately to begin with just going for people within our own network. That then led to the Impact Investor Circle, which are all the people that actually invested in both Entrepreneur Resource and Genius U. And now we're launching Alchemy Fund, where we have Vikram, who's joining us as of 2 days' time, who actually launched the entire India Westpac branch. Westpac's an Australian branch, and they set up in India, and he built that into a multi-billion-dollar bank. And then he then did the same for Southeast Asia with Westpac and their private banking. And he built that into like $1 billion plus within a very short period of time. And now he's moved out of the banking sector and he wants to be more entrepreneurial. He's coming working with us. He's setting up the Alchemy Fund. We're going to be raising $10 to $20 million over the next 6 months, and then investing in companies within our own network, right? So basically social entrepreneurs that are making a social difference, where we can actually have impact investors who also want to make that difference with their money, so that you then align with the right people. So I think the most important thing is to say, can I find people that are aligned with my mission, and people that trust that I'm in it for the long term, right? That people that are not coming in just because they want to make a quick buck, or because they want to control your business, and then you just get all the wrong investors for the wrong reason. I've seen that happen so many times. So the number one thing is, do they align with my values? Then after that, are they going to add value in addition to having their money? Because there's a lot of money flowing out there, and if you actually design your business in the right way, you're always going to be able to get money. But the most important thing is to make sure that you actually are not creating a problem that you didn't need to create for yourself by getting the wrong investor in the first place. Okay, we've got 3 more questions which are on the yellow to green. So a lot of yellow to green this time around. So it's really good to see this all moving. Heather Watson, designedtomove.co.uk. Creator, first time on Gems call today. Thank you, was great. Some food for thought and just taking time to get myself orientated. I need a supporter, and we have one on the fringes of our team, but she's unclear about her future. How do I help her find what she is great at, whilst also using her supporter skills when neither of us are sure what that might look like? Thanks. I also just remembered I had one question about watching the January call. I'm in the health sector and I am interested in the health dynamics work of Joe, but I've also read about Matt Ryman and PH360 after reading the Millionaire Master Plan. Are these two systems, health dynamics and PH360, linked at all? I'd be interested in learning more, as we may be able to incorporate them into our work. Yeah, I mean, like Matt, you know, he kind of went through everything that we did. He decided to go down the personalized health. The guys that basically put PH360, I got introduced to them as well. And this was before I actually was spending time with Joe on health dynamics. So we talked a lot about how the I Ching all links in with your DNA, and that's the pathway they're taking. I think they're complementary. I think that what they're doing on their side, health dynamics is much more down Ayurveda. It's got a lot more practical steps and things like retreats and things that we're doing at the moment. So you can kind of get right into it and do that. But try both and just see how they work, and you might find a way they work well together. And on the first part of your question, which is this whole idea of how do you work as a supporter, is all about the people. So say, right, well, who are the people we want to get out to, get the supporter to get out there and get connected to them, and give them the direction to make that work as well. And then see the results you get off it, right? I mean, that's the key. Set it up as a promotion plan, run that promotion plan, and then go from there. Jasper says, also from Ouroboros, hi Roger, I'm a star with almost equal blaze and dynamo. I have the responsibility of creating partnerships in our new partnership strategy coming out of iLab. I know I need to be better at instantly spotting companies and people's spectrum levels, and also that it comes with patience. The question is, how do I best use my genius in dialogues with the different spectrum levels? Or put another way, how is a star most valuable to the different levels? Special attention to red, orange, yellow, and green levels. Stars do not shine light in themselves. Stars shine light on others. So the most important thing is to find out from each of those people that you're actually going to be partnering up with, what is their future world, what is their future vision of what they want to achieve, and how can you shine a light on them and what they're doing? How can you actually, do it, have a conversation with them about what the picture for their future looks like, and then how you can help by being in partnership with them to achieve that future. Right? And of course, if you say, well, what's your ideal future look like? We'd have this much sales, we'd be in these countries, we'd be doing this stuff. Okay, if we can partner with you and we can help you support you to do those things, how about we work together in such a way that you can also support us to do these things, right? And you always find that link by doing that, right? Stars are the best marketers, right? So you're in a perfect position to do that. But the most important thing is, don't go in there leading with what you want or leading with what you think is important. Go right in there and first of all connect with them to what they want and what they think is important. And at every one of those levels, there's going to be something that allows them to aspire to the level above. And so it's about really how you make sure that you're really clear about that, and then you shine light on that for them as well. And then the best partners that you're having, the best stories, shine light on the stories so other partners go, hey, that's what I'm looking for as well, and then they're going to want to partner with you too. Okay, final question, which is coming from walkthroughsoftware.com, but no name on here. It says general thoughts on cryptocurrency. Okay, so the whole world is changing so fast. We are now running a blockchain accelerator with WeWork, which is going to be happening in April, and it's happening in London because they're building a whole community around blockchain. And no question at all, blockchain is a massive part of it. Cryptocurrency will link to all of it as well. We're looking at how we actually turn our Genius dollars into cryptocurrencies as well. That does not mean that it's not super volatile and you have to be super careful if you are putting any money into cryptocurrencies at the moment. Yes, it can go up 10 times. Yes, it can also go down to a tenth of its value, right? It can go both ways. Basically, we're in the same place with cryptocurrencies that we were with .com back in 1999, pretty much the same place, which was about 2 years away from a massive crash where everyone then thought that was the end of the internet. That was the .com bust. But of course, that was when then Amazon and Google and Facebook and all the companies that you have today all came out of that bust, right? So there's no question that there'll be all of the main blockchain entities, including cryptocurrencies, will come out of the bust. Whether that's going to be the likes of what we see like out there at the moment, is that going to be like the top 3 or 4 of the main cryptocurrencies at the moment, right? Is it going to be Bitcoin, right? Is it going to be Ethereum? Is it going to be Ripple? Is it going to be those guys, or is it going to be a whole bunch of new ones, right? I don't know, but I do know that it's going to really transform the whole way that we're going to be seeing the world in the next couple of years, just because of the way that you now have got fully distributed transactions, which means you don't need to go through a government, you don't need to go through a bank. You can have trust directly from one person to another. It will be the end of lawyers, it will be the end of accountants, it will be the end of all middlemen, because everyone can go directly. So just be aware, like we are living in very, very exciting times, but also be cautious, because if you don't have money that you can afford to lose, then there's a good chance you'll lose it. And that is the end of our recording for today. I hope there's been some good gems in here that you can use. I will be catching up with you either in person at one of our events or on our next call as well, which I'm really looking forward to. So have a fabulous month ahead, everyone, and we'll catch up with you all later. Bye.